Greetings all! Today, we'll be examining the relatively uncommon normal-type Pokemon Buneary and its relatively rare evolution Lopunny, the two collectively known as the Rabbit Pokémon. Though they might not look to be that much of a threat, the members of the Buneary family are still gorgeous creatures that can take a hit and give back one in stride when needed.
Buneary have light brown bodies with a small bob tail and hands and feet with 3 digits each, further having a small, cute brown nose, a cute mouth and black eyes with circular beige eyebrows. Their long ears have pink interiors, and the lower half of their body, feet and the ends of their ears are topped with a thick beige fleece. Their evolved form, Lopunny, have the same body color, but are noted for their long, powerful legs, trim torso, and their even larger ears, with thick fleece covering most of their ears, their feet, and their wrists. Their eyes have turned a bright pink color as their eyebrows have grown immensely in size, their delicate feet helping to support their lithe yet lush figure. Finally, it is noted that Lopunny have the capacity to Mega Evolve, and in this state, the fleece on their ears has shrunken by a considerable volume, only existing as fleece ties around the ears in 2 places, while the fleece at their wrists has grown thicker as black claws have formed on their fingers. Their eyebrows now cross together to form a single butterfly-shaped figure on their face, and their leg fleece has shrunk as well, revealing a thick black membrane on their thighs and lower legs that aids them in storing elastic energy for physical attacks.
While the overall anatomy of the members of the Buneary family and their behavior tend to be rather different, one thing that they have in common is the thick, fluffy fleece that covers their bodies.
The fleeces of Buneary are generally fluffy, though not quite to the extent of their evolved form Lopunny. This feature is extremely important in conserving heat during periods of cold, as they work essentially like a fluffy thermos. On cold nights, Buneary often bury their heads in their fleeces in order to avoid the low temperatures. This is mainly because Buneary are very temperature sensitive, and their fleeces do not cover a large portion of their body, so they often have a harder time surviving through bad winters and snowstorms than their evolved form.
However, because their fleeces do not cover as large of a portion of their body as they do with Lopunny, they are less prone to overheating in the presence of high temperatures and humidity, and thus can survive relatively well in temperate climates, making them a great addition to any team where temperature is not a major survival issue.
In the case of Lopunny, though, they are quite fussy when it comes to their fur and their fleece, and pride themselves for their beauty, never failing to groom themselves every single day. Without their extensive fleeces, it is believed that Lopunny probably would not be able to survive through most winters. With it though, and the insulating pockets of air contained in the winter coats in particular, they can survive through even the worst of blizzards with little trouble. As wonderful as their fleeces are, however, as noted, they come at a cost in that they make the bodies of Lopunny extremely prone to overheating in hot and humid conditions. When the temperature rises, their fleeces essentially act as hair dryers, drying out their skin and drawing moisture away from their body, resulting in a high chance of overheating and possibly heat stroke. In order to prevent this from happening too easily, Lopunny regularly shed their fur and fleeces twice a year, once as they transition from winter to spring, and yet again as they transition from fall to winter, with further increases in temperature requiring additional minor shedding to give them an extremely thin coat and little fleece. It seems that their winter coat is the one that is most appreciated by trainers, however, as its extensive thickness makes it incredibly soft and fluffy. As far as how this contributes to their abilities though, it is noted that it makes it harder for these creatures to use items as their fleece can sometimes get in the way, granting them Klutz as a base ability, while those with especially thick coats can use them as a storage center for static electricity, protecting them from paralyzing attributes and thus enabling access to Limber as a hidden ability.
Furthermore, Buneary are able to use their quick reflexes to escape from nearly any situation, giving them access to run away as another base ability, while the appearances of Lopunny can grant them a risque, attractive form, allowing them to have cute charm as a base ability instead.
As far as the stats are concerned with Lopunny, while they might not have much to offer in the way of stamina or offense, their base HP attack and special attack stats being below average for a fully evolved normal-type Pokemon, their thick fleece grants them surprisingly decent defensive stats, and they are able to move quite quickly thanks to their powerful leg muscles, so the base defense, special defense, and speed stats are above average for a fully evolved Pokemon of their type, allowing them to last longer in battle than many might initially suspect. Buneary possess extremely strong, flexible muscles within their ears that allow them to be curled and uncurled readily. The moment they sense danger, Buneary perk their ears up and listen closely for any signs of movement. If they find themselves under attack, Buneary use their ears as their primary means of offense and rarely ever resort to full contact blows as their arms and legs are fairly weak. By quickly tightening and expanding the muscles within their ears, Buneary are able to curl and uncurl their ears at an incredible speed, resulting in a powerful strike against an opponent that only grows stronger the more they train themselves in using it. This variation of the pound attack is surprisingly strong despite the physical makeup, and is even strong enough to shatter small boulders and make them bounce high enough in the air if their ears hit the ground to surprise themselves if applied correctly. And their penchant for almost always keeping at least one ear rolled up in preparation for making a counterattack against an opponent renders Buneary more than a simple threat. If escape is the plan, however, this same action can be used to launch their bodies high into the air and far above danger, though the sudden acceleration into the air tends to scare Buneary more so than not.
Since their greatest strength lies within their ears, this means that Buneary always keep at least one ear curled up in case of a surprise attack.
Furthermore, scientists have even been able to interpret how Buneary feel by analyzing how their ears are curled up. Although there is a wide variation in the extent of these studies, there's at least one common fact. Buneary always keep both ears curled up tightly if they are scared or are otherwise feeling mentally or physically ill and are in need of care. This is important for most trainers to know, as it may be a signal that a potential capture may be waiting to deliver a powerful double whammy to the first thing that gets near it. Interestingly enough, Buneary can further amplify the damage they can deal with a frustration attack, which only they learn naturally. Since Buneary are the only non-legendary Pokemon recognized as being amongst the hardest to bond with, this can make the otherwise defenseless animals a destructive force only strong armor can fully handle. Although Buneary are generally difficult to befriend, Lopunny by comparison are extremely friendly towards humans and relatively outgoing towards other Pokemon, making them a perfect target in the eyes of many predators. However, they are also usually quite shy towards strangers until they get to know them and do not like to have others staring at them, as this often suggests that the viewer is a predator in their eyes. Any sudden or disruptive movements they see while constantly monitoring their surroundings will often be met with extremely powerful kicks. When Lopunny sense danger that they know their kicks won't work against, they will cloak their bodies using the extensive tufts of fleece that are attached to their ears, like a defensive shield, before quickly bounding away from their attacker at full speed. While the fleece can't be cut or pulled off, and the mufflers and hats made from it are incredibly warm, extreme precision is needed to do so without repercussion, and it is generally unwise to try in battle, especially since these animals can use their fur to execute their own unique variations of the Mirror Coat and Magic Coat moves. The parts of their ears that are connected to these extensive tufts are extremely sensitive to differences in force from both gravity and pulling motions. Simply put, they can tell exactly how roughly their ears and the fleece connected to them are being handled at any point in time. If someone or something handles them too roughly, Lopunny are quick to pull out their primary means of offense, their feet. While they are usually notably wary towards fighting and have a dislike for conflict in general, Lopunny have impressive kicking strength for their lithe frames, allowing them to execute a fairly potent high jump kick attack when in close quarters, making life for nearby attackers fairly miserable. If worst comes to worst though, Lopunny will not be afraid to get right in the faces of others and execute a devastating return attack, which only they can learn naturally and can use effectively despite their only average physical offenses.
It is lastly noted that Lopunny is one of only 46 species of Pokemon known to be capable of undergoing Mega Evolution.
While most Mega Evolutions retain the same type assignment as their normal form in battle, in the case of Lopunny, the development of new powers changes what they are capable of quite drastically. With Lopunny in hand, Mega Evolution causes a dramatic change in brain chemistry that awakens deeply buried combative instincts and converts these otherwise gentle and lovely creatures into fierce warriors, ready to demolish just about anything that gets in their way, becoming partial fighting types in turn. For reasons that are still not well understood, a chemical imbalance in the brains of Mega Lopunny causes their body to begin producing massive quantities of adrenaline and growth hormones that temporarily increases their muscle mass severely, heightening their physical power and agility to levels unseen among similar normal types, while their bodies rapidly shed any fur that would otherwise impede their ability to attack at full force. This comes along with a drastic personality shift to an aggressive, dominating form with an intensely combative disposition, something that most trainers are shocked to observe and in turn have a hard time controlling without extensive practice. The expertise that these creatures possess in utilizing powerful moves like High Jump Kick further increases severely as a consequence of the change in their type assignment, enabling them to make the most of such an already overpowered move. Interestingly enough though, it is important to note that most of the new muscle mass in the body actually develops in their ears, acting as both a force of power and a shock absorber against physical trauma. With this new power, Mega Lopunny are able to crumple steel plates with a single whip-like swing of their ears, in turn making them a serious surprise to opponents that underestimate their power. In terms of stats, the added bulk of muscle in their bodies has the effect of slightly increasing their base defense stat, while the muscles themselves considerably increase their base speed stat and cataclysmically increase their base attack stat. In turn, they gain the highest base speed stat out of all normal and fighting type Pokemon. In addition, these creatures become so aggressive that they lose any real sense of fear and target other Pokemon with such fervor that they can break through the kinetic barriers set up by ghost types when only partially in the ethereal plane, essentially converting their ability to scrappy. These rabbits might not look that tough, but with the ability to strike literally any type with their attacks, there is little that can be done to stop these monsters in battle once they get a good rhythm going.
Buneary and Lopunny are just absolutely adorable to me in all honesty, and I love how fluffy and soft they feel, so long as I play with them nicely and give them space when they need it. It's always funny to me how so many people go gaga when they see something so fluffy and soft and just have to hug it, often without thinking about what they're actually doing. I mean, these are living creatures, you know, and while I'm sure they'd appreciate a hug as much as anyone else, personal space is still a thing, you know? Permission exists, and with Buneary especially, you need to put in a lot of effort to get them to warm up to you, so much so that many find it too difficult to invest their time in. However, those that are willing to persevere and make the most of it all likely won't be disappointed, as these rabbits can be quite interesting to work with in a fully evolved state. It is true that in their base form, they can't do much in the way of severe damage even with their strongest attacks, but in a mega evolved state, these creatures can really prove to be a nightmare to handle. Given their ability, not even ghost types are safe from their wrath, and coupled with their feisty attitudes in such a state, you can be sure that these rabbits can ultimately prove to be much more than just looks alone in a fight.
Although they might not start out as the most dangerous of beasts to encounter, the members of the Buneary family still have some unique tricks up their sleeve that can make them a bit harder to handle than one might otherwise assume at first glance. It may take a lot of effort to get them to a fully evolved state than some might think it to be worthwhile, but if you need their Pokédex leader or are willing to stick with them for the long term, these rabbits can still be notable if you don't mind the hard work you need to put into it all.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure that you only try and get close to them if you know they're okay with it. Otherwise, you might get a bit more than you bargained for and end up losing a few teeth or get a broken bone when these bunnies give you a taste of tough love with a potent strike from their ears or a leg.
Thank you all for watching this video. It is always a pleasure to help teach others about the world of Pokemon and the many facets of it that exist in both the world we call home and the world they call home. If you'd like, please leave a comment and subscribe and ring the bell to this channel to get regular updates on content and anything else that might be going on. You can find me and my written work on DeviantArt under the name Utitus and be informed of information and content uploads on my Twitter page and my Patreon page. Donations are always welcome. Always remember, the world of Pokemon is a vast and varied place, and there's no telling what secrets might be hiding just around the corner. So keep watch, stay vigilant, and always prepare for the unexpected. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.